selling as modified for 2017 to 2020. These racing rules of sailing came in on effect on the 1st of January. A couple of weird things about that is that the blue book that we've got is still valid because the second half of it is the special regulations which we sail under, Yachting Australia, Australian Sailing, as they're now called, and the special regulations stay in effect until end of June, and end of July. No, end of June. Sorry, end of June. So 1st of July, the special regulations change, and the other weird thing is that there is no new blue book. The racing rules of sailing is now an e-book. So to be valid with our rules, so that you have to have the racing rules of sailing on board and the special regulations on board. So you can't quite throw the blue book overboard yet. You've got to keep the blue book until the end of the financial year, but you also have to have access to the e-book, which is the racing rules of sailing. So minor technicality. Actually, what I will show you, I'll send around on the link later on. There's a version of it that you can get, which has got all the marked up with the changes. So you get a PDF of it, and it's good to get one which has all the changes in it. So if you have any questions I can't answer, I'll be going to that version tonight. Okay, let's start presenting again. So, what's new in these rules? The main thing is the intention of the people who did the changes is that there's no game changes for the way we race around the racetrack. So the intention of them is that when you're going in to round a mark or to overtake a boat or something like that, there's nothing really significant about the way we're going to sail. That's the intention of the changes. Now, these rules haven't been tested yet in the protest room or by appeal and stuff. And so when it comes to the actual, what happens, it'll be how that written word is interpreted by protest committees and appeal committees and things like that before we actually see if there are any game changes. Mostly they're clarifications, and mostly they're aimed at when rules are broken and kind of when there's going to be contact between boats. So if you're sort of a boat that's, you're not rubbing, you're not racing if you're not rubbing, then maybe these rules are a little bit, changes are significant for you. Because most of the changes are probably around mouth roundings and obstructions. And to be brutally honest, most of the protests that we've had in this club are around the same rules and mark roundings and obstructions. So the clarifications that they're putting in there in place and the weird little fix-ups for the problems that have come up may well be relevant to you guys. So anyway, the way I'm going to present tonight is I'm not going to just present the changes. I am going to present our full rules training course. I'm going to whiz through the first half of it, which is all about the right-of-way and general limitations, because there's very few changes in that section. But I think it's always important to take the opportunity to lay down the ground rules of how the rules work and what they are. Then we'll have a break and we'll all eat our brownies and everyone will leave. Now, after the brownies, we'll get on to the mark roundings and obstructions, and that's where most of the changes are. And this will work out well, because last time I presented this course, we spent all the time on the right-of-way rules and limitations and very little time on the mark roundings and obstructions. So if we could keep the questions to a minimum on the first half, once we hit the break and we're into the mark roundings and obstructions, let's spend all our time doing that. So if you really got a pressing question on the right-of-way rules, please do put your hand up, but let's see if we can get through them. So rules. Racing rules of sailing has lots of rules, lots and lots of rules, all organised in different parts. They're all massively important, except for we're not going to talk about most of them tonight. We're just going to do part 2, when boats meet. So that's when two boats come together, two or more boats come together, and in order to interpret those rules, we need the definitions as well. I'm not saying the rest of the rules aren't important, but there are some other important rules in other parts, but they're more of how you organise things and how you run protests and things and stuff like that, and radio controlled racing, and all sorts of wonderful things like that. So we're just going to do when boats meet and the definitions that are required for them. Now the definitions are important because the definitions in the blue book or in the blue e-book are words that are written in italics, and they're words that this addition of racing rules of sailing. So a support person is now defined. So in our scope of our rules of how they apply, a support person can be in the rules. Normally on interfering or gross misconduct or conflict of interest is also now defined in the rules. The definition of an obstruction has changed slightly in the rules. So the definitions are very important parts. You can't read the rules without going back to the definitions all the time. So whenever you're reading the rules, you're looking at the definitions and looking at individual rules. And if you ever thinking about how I'm going to run a protest, the first thing you do is you find facts, which basically you find these definitions. The boat was overlapped, the boat was racing, it was selling its public course, and then you apply the rules to those sort of terms. Normally how it works out. Now, when boats meet, we've got multiple sets of rules. Not only do we have lots of rules in the racing rules of sailing, we've got different sets of rules that can apply. And the racing rules of sailing is one set, and the international regulations for the prevention of collision at sea, coal regs, are the other set. So it's really important to know which set of rules any two boats are interacting under. So the racing rules of sailing apply between sailing vessels in or near the racing area that are intending to race, are racing, or have raced. So the racing rules don't turn on when the gun goes and turn off the moment you cross the line. If you've agreed to participate in a race, you're agreeing to waive the coal regs between our boats, and you're racing under the racing rules of sailing while you're sailing to the race area, while you're waiting for the race to start, between races, and for a period of time after the races. Now, when exactly that ends, that's up to a protest committee to define. It's, if you're milling around having lunch between races, it probably applies. If you're racing to get to the end of the jetty here to beat another boat in, it probably doesn't. And you're probably under coal regs then, because you're no longer in the racing area and the racing took some time. So the important thing is, any other boat, it's not a sailing boat, it's a power boat, or it's a sailing boat, it's not racing. At other places and other times, you're bound by the coal regs. And so it may be that on the water, you've got some boats that you're interacting with racing rules of sailing, but there's other boats with the same interaction that you're interacting with coal regs. So when you apply the rules, you've already got to know which set of rules to apply. I've got a couple of slides later on to show the similarities between these rules but the subtle differences. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty of when boats meet. The way the right-of-way rules work is in two parts. There's how you define which boat has right-of-way, and then you define the limitations on what a right-of-way boat can do. And it's really important to know that that's the way all the rules are working, saying who has right-of-way and what limitations there are. And so if we look at the way it breaks down, there are four really important rules in right-of-way section A, which basically define which boat has right-of-way and which boat has to keep clear. There's some other ones in section D, which are sailing backwards and silly things like that. I'll briefly touch on those. But the four basic rules are the ones that you want for right-of-way. Then the rest of the rules are all about what you do to limit the right-of-way boat. And so there's four general limitations about changing course and avoiding contact and stuff that you'll get into. And those four general limitations are the important rules that you've got to know. And it's those four right-of-way rules and those four general limitation rules are the 8 rules that every sailor out there really needs to know like the back of their hands. They're the ones I'm going to buzz through because those 8 rules have hardly changed, have not changed actually in this situation.
Still a few more of the club fighting around outside.
Oh yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah. So all those people coming in late, the good thing is I'm going through the full rules presentation, starting off with the when boats meet, where there's been very little change to the rules. All the main changes to the rules will come after our roundings as we look at mark roundings and stuff. So anyway, just on the limitations, as well as the 4 limitations of the rules, you have section C, which is marks and obstructions. And the way we do marks and obstructions is they don't really change which boat has right-of-way and which boat must keep clear. Marks and obstructions, all they do is change the limitations we put on a right-of-way boat. So marks and obstructions don't change right-of-way. They just constrain the right-of-way boat to give some space to other boats. And then section D has some other rules, which are some other weird limitations, which again I'll briefly touch on. So anyway, We're now going to drill down those 8 basic rules, the 4 right-of-way rules, the 4 limitation rules, the ones that everyone really has to know. So, Section A, right-of-way. What are the 4 rules that define right-of-way? Unfortunately, the way these rules are written is the book loves to define things in the negative. It doesn't define right-of-way. It defines keep clear boat. So the way you know who has right-of-way is the other boat has to keep clear of it. So there is 4 rules that define what is a keep clear boat. There's no rules that say what is a right-of-way boat. It's the opposite. So these are the 4 rules that give you who has to keep clear. And hopefully these are all very familiar to you. Rules 10, 11, 12, 13, good to remember the numbers if you can. But if you can't remember the numbers, the main things is you remember. And I'm going to hit these really simply now, and then I'll go into more detail later. If your boats are on opposite tack, the boat on port keeps clear. If your boats are on the same tack and they're overlapped is in italics, means there's a definition that tells us what that is, and we'll go into that later. Windward keeps clear. If you're on the same tack and you're not overlapped, astern keeps clear. If you're tacking, the boat tacking keeps clear. And that's the 4 right-of-way rules, pure and simple. That's how you define which boat keeps clear, which boat has right-of-way. Port keeps clear, windward keeps clear, stern keeps clear, tacking keeps clear. And I remember it with quake, which is the sound you're making if you don't abide by these rules.
Did you come up with booze and all that?
No. But anyway, so in a second we'll go through these rules in a little bit more detail. But I think those rules are pretty much clear to most people. They haven't changed. There's not a single bit of blue marked up text in the reference. So they're the same as what we had been before. Then we have the 4 general limitations. Again, remember the numbers if you can, 14, 15, 16 and 17. And these are different to the right-of-ways. These are limiting what a right-of-way boat can do. And so I'm going to keep ramming this home, that it's the 4 rules to say who has right-of-way and 4 rules to say, what limits them. And so the first thing we have to limit a right-of-way boat is it still has to avoid contact. If reasonably possible, the right-of-way boat shouldn't hit another boat just because it has right-of-way. Which is a pretty good one. It's a non-contact sport, or so we hope. If you require right-of-way, then the right-of-way boat must initially give room to the other boat to keep clear. And again, we'll go into detail what that means. But when you know the rules, they're tossing around your head, there's something about acquiring rights. Well, you remember that the acquiring rights is a limitation you put on the right-of-way boat that it initially has to give room to the other boat. If the right-of-way boat changes course, it shall give room to another boat to keep clear. It can't change course so as to prevent a keep clear boat from keeping clear. And that's a limitation that we put on the right-of-way boat. And the final of the 4 rules is sailing above your proper course. And the summary of that is blah, 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 lots of detail, don't sail above your proper course in very specific circumstances, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people say proper course a lot of time, it's very specific circumstances. It does come into play, but we'll go into that in detail in this separate slide. So, 4 limitations is contact, acquiring rights, changing course, above proper course. And I remember that with CACA. Contact above, contact acquiring, changing above. Yeah, well, but if anyone knows any Latin languages, CACA is what you'll be in if you don't follow these limitations. Okay, so I'll do a little bit more text by slides, and then we'll get into some concrete examples of these. So, just to ram it home a little bit more, rights and limitations is what this section is all about. Give-way boats keep clear. Right-of-way boats give room. And those are our 2 sets of 4 rules. And these are really distinct things. Keeping clear is different to giving room. And they're both in italics, which means we have definitions of what it means to keep clear and what it means to give room. Keeping clear, when you go to the definition section of your book, a boat keeps clear if, and I've sort of highlighted the important text, if the other boat can sail her course and can change course. So we have a little example of what that means here. We have two boats here. Who has right of way there? Yellow boat on starboard is right of way because port tack on opposite tacks keeps clear. So blue boat must keep clear, so therefore yellow boat is the right of way boat. Can yellow sail her course with no need to take avoiding action?
That's a slow sail.
Well, if we assume a reasonable speed, blue's within a quarter of the boat length. That's about a second away from brace of impact. So I'm thinking, yellow's going to have to do an almighty duck here or a crash tack to avoid contact. I don't think blue's kept clear. So in this case, blue has not kept clear of yellow, the right of way boat. The other aspect of keeping clear is you can change course without immediately making contact. So here we have another pair of boats. We have blue and yellow. Who's the right of way boat here? Yellow is the keep clear boat because both boats, again we'll go into these in more detail, but both boats are on the same tack. Yellow is the windward boat. Yellow must keep clear of blue. But if blue changed course, it's going in the wrong direction, in any way there's going to be a bump, isn't there? Because boats pivot around their keel. So by blue changing course and immediately hitting yellow means that yellow has not kept clear of blue. So when we talk about right-of-way rules, the four right-of-way rules, the keep clear boat must allow the right-of-way boat to sail her course and to change her course without immediately having a collision. And that's the precise definition of what it means to keep clear. Now we flip to the other side of it, and a right-of-way boat will occasionally be required to give room to a keep clear boat. And what does it mean to give room? Giving room is the space that a boat needs to comply with her obligations in a seaman-like way. So that means basically keep clear boats got to get out of your way, but and you have to give them space to get them out of the way. You can't pop in next to them so they can't change course. You can't hump them so much that you actually make contact. You can't make them do something very unseamanlike. Crash tack is unseamanlike. A timely tack isn't. So you can't use this is like a limitation on bullying. The right-of-way boat can't bully the keep clear boat so much that they're unseamanlike. So they have to be able to sail their boat reasonably, promptly, but reasonably to comply with their obligation to keep clear. So we have the two sides of it yet again. The keep clear is what you do to a right-of-way boat, and a right-of-way boat gives room. Enough slideware, let's look at some actual nice examples here. We'll go proper through all the examples. And again, for everyone who's coming late, I'll just repeat, we're just going quite quickly through the right-of-way rules and the general limitations before the break, and then we'll go into marks, spend all our time on marks and obstructions, because marks and obstructions is where the majority of the rule changes that have been in this iteration. So we really want to bang through this first section in less than an hour, so we can spend at least 3, 4, maybe 5 hours on marks and obstructions. Okay, we have two boats here. Which boat is the right-of-way boat? Yellow is the right-of-way boat because blue must keep clear of it because they are opposite tacks. So, rule 10, port tack keeps clear of an opposite tack boat. Here we have two boats here. Who keeps clear of who? They're still on opposite tacks, they're just pointing different directions. So the rule about opposite tacks doesn't say anything about upwind or downwind, so they're opposite tacks. The boat on port, which is turns the head, blue, must keep clear. So port boat keeps clear. Here we go, another version of the same thing. One's going upwind, one's going downwind. Does it change anything? No. Opposite tacks, port keeps clear. So that's a really simple rule. If you're opposite tacks, the right-of-way boat is the one on starboard, and the port boat keeps clear. And all the other rules don't change that. We mark roundings and stuff like that. The right-of-way boat is still the one on starboard, and the keep clear boat is still the one on port. Just the right-of-way boat may have some limitations on that. Alright, we have another two boats here. They look like they're on the same tack. Who's the right of way boat there? It's blue there. Okay, that rule there is probably because there may be an overlap. Definition of overlap. So again, you want to know, is there an overlap? You turn to the definition section. And an overlap, well, firstly it says, it's defined in terms of clear astern. Behind a line of beam of the aftmost point. So there's a line of beam of the aftmost point. Is blue behind a line of the aftmost point? No, it's not. So an overlap exists when neither of the boats are clear astern. So blue's not clear astern of yellow and yellow's not clear astern of blue. There's an overlap. So when there's an overlap, the windward boat keeps clear. The wood from the port. So port keeps clear, windward keeps clear. Nice simple rule. Another two boats here. Are they on the same tack?
Yes.
Are they overlapped?
Yes.
Yes. Yellow's not clear astern of blue and blue's not clear astern of yellow. So windward boat keeps clear, yellow keeps clear. All nice and easy. So again, we're just running right-of-way rules here, those four rules from the first section. Two boats here, same tack. Are they overlapped? No, because they're overlapped if neither is clear astern. And while yellow's not clear astern of blue, blue is clear astern of yellow. So blue is clear astern. We're now onto rule 12. The boat that's clear astern keeps clear. Blue would have to make a mighty fine stuff up to hit yellow from there, but maybe they round up or something. But yeah, the clear astern boat keeps clear.
Would that not have always been the case because they were the windward boat leading up to that scenario anyway?
Well, they haven't been the windward. Well, actually, they were the windward boats, so yeah, they were. If we went backwards in time a second, there would have been an overlap, and they would have been keep clear boat, and they've just passed clear asterns, and now they're clear astern boat in that particular situation. So the keep clear boat hasn't changed, just the rule under which it's being policed has changed. So. Okay, two boats here. Oh, that one's pretty obvious, isn't it? That one's the clear astern boat will keep clear. So we've gone through very quickly through rules 10, 11, 12. Do we have any more examples of this? Oh, here we go. Are those two boats overlapped? Hands up who says that those boats are overlapped. Hands up who says they're not overlapped. Oh, good.
Doesn't matter.
The doesn't matter is exactly the case. These boats actually are overlapped. Except if they were going upwind, they wouldn't be overlapped because the definition of overlaps. These terms apply to boats on opposite tacks only when rule 18 applies between them or when both boats are sailing more than 90 degrees from the true wind. So again, this is where the definitions can be really important. Our common sense definition of overlap would not have applied if they were going upwind and on opposite tacks. Our common sense definition of overlap is, yeah, they're overlapped. But upwind they wouldn't have been overlapped, downwind they are. And because it's a term in italics is overlap, so it's in the definitions. So these guys are overlapped. It doesn't matter because they're port starboard, port tack keeps clear. The right-of-way rules don't care about overlap unless you're on the same tack. Now the fact that these boats are overlapped might come into play if these boats are going around a mark rounding. So the definition of overlap applying to them can be important to limitations we place later on, but it doesn't change the right-of-way boat. Okay, now we're going to get some more dynamic examples. This is working on rule 13 of a boat while tacking must keep clear. But when you have a boat that's tacking, it's changing course and doing other things, so stuff changes over time. This is the first situation here. Blue's going to do a tack, which is really rather risky, but blue's going to tack. So initially, what do we have here? Who's the right-of-way boat? Blue's the right-of-way boat because yellow is clear astern. So, clear astern boat. Okay, we've initiated our tack. Well, have we? Exactly. So common sense says, oh, blue started to tack. That's our definition. But if you actually look at the rules, all blue has done is left. So windward boat, now it's an overlap, windward boat has to keep clear. But notice that luff changed the rule from being clear astern to being a windward boat. So, also, the right-of-way boat, blue is changing course under our general limitations. She must give room for yellow to keep clear, and in this case, there's plenty of room for yellow to keep clear. Yellow can do, lots of manoeuvres. She can duck from there, she can tack from there. Heaps of room. Okay, so we go a little bit further in time. What's happened here? Blue's passed through head to wind. This is a tack. So we have a definition. Oh, sorry, it's actually in the rule. They're not very rigorous. They should define tack. But Rule 13 says, after a boat passes head to wind, she shall keep clear of other boats until she's on a close haul course. So the Rule 13, the keep clear while tacking rule, switches on as the boat passes through head to wind. So you can laugh all the way up and you're not tacking. It's only once you pass through head to wind do we actually have a boat that's tacking. So now, blue's passed through head to wind, she's the tacking boat, and she has to keep clear. Okay. Oh, and then we have some obligations now on yellow. Yellow's now the right-of-way boat. She has to avoid contact, which could be something that is coming up very soon with the way blue's going, unless blue's made it very clear she intends to duck and go all the way around. So yeah, yellow might be thinking about her obligations under avoid a collision. Maybe she could just throw in a crash jack and yell protest in here and said, I did it because of Rule 14. She's acquired her rights. But we'll see later on that if you acquire your rights through another boat's actions, doesn't mean you're not obliged to do anything. So Rule 15 doesn't apply to yellow because she didn't do anything. She was just sailing along and blue gave her rights by tacking. 16, changing course. Well, yellow's just sailing along here, happily not changing course, so she's under no obligations to because of that. But let's say blue was trying to go behind her. Yellow wouldn't be able to change course to prevent her doing that. So she's under a bit of an obligation now to not change course. So if she was going to change course because she's worried about a collision, she should go to port rather than to starboard. So the obligations do apply to her a little bit. Whenever you get off the changes right away, you have to run the obligations to see what they're. They don't really affect her too much at this stage. A little bit further on here, blue's gone a little bit more around. The trimmer's made a big mess of it. Main hasn't come on, head sail's flogging. What's the situation here? Who's the right-of-way boat? Well, the word says until she is on a close-hauled course. So the rule is about the course the boat is sailing, not the trim of the sails. So the fact that blue has come around to the angle that she would be sailing on if her trimmers had come on is sufficient to say that she's finished her tack. So when you want to look at whether a boat has finished its tack, it's the direction the boat's going, not the state of the sails. So in this case, blue has finished her tack. She's on a close-hauled course, ranging her sails, or maybe she thinks that's good trim, I don't know. She's now a starboard boat. Yellow must now keep clear. So yellow is now a port tack boat. It's a port starboard situation with a very nasty imminent collision coming up. But luckily, and the key thing to note there is that right of way changed instantaneously. If you take it down to a stop frame video, nanosecond by nanosecond, there is an instant in time where the right of way changes from one boat to the other boat. The limitations tend to have a little bit more longer time periods and a little bit more fuzzy time barriers when they apply. And specifically, like here, we have blue has just acquired rights by tacking. So Rule 15 comes into play here, that she must initially give room. So she's a right-of-way boat. Nothing changes her right-of-way. She's started the other boats at the port. But she has to give the other boat room to keep clear. Now, if she did that tack so close that the only thing that yellow could do to avoid contact was a crash tack and back head sail and lose 2 crew members overboard because they're all on the rail and they're half dumped. Is that giving her room to keep clear? No, it's not, because it's not a seaman-like manoeuvre. Room requires that yellow can keep clear with a seaman-like normal tack. People come down off the rail, let the heady go, get out of there, tack. If blue hasn't allowed enough time for yellow to get out of that way, then blue has broken rule 15. And I think that's what you typically would say, oh, she tacked in my water, is the colloquial way of describing that. So blue had the right, she was the right-of-way boat, she tacked onto right-of-way, but she has this obligation to allow yellow to get out of there in a reasonable fashion. So you can see how the rules work. Always there is a definition of who is the right-of-way boat, and then they might have an obligation on them. Okay. Oh, one other small thing about Rule 13. If yellow had tacked at the same time as blue, because she anticipated, so you have 2 boats tacking at the same time, then the boat that's on the port side shall keep clear. So that's still one of the 4 rules. It's an extra little clause if both boats are tacking at the same time. And so it doesn't really change the boat on starboard, is missing. So let's now look a little bit more detail at the obligations. Sorry for me rushing through this, but as I said, all the good stuff is after the break in the mark roundings and instructions. Avoiding contact is probably the most important obligation on all boats. Boats shall avoid contact with another if reasonably possible. I love that. It means that sometimes you just can't do it. So we'll quite often get this sort of situation here. Here's 2 boats, blue's the right-of-way boat, yellow opposite tacks, green must keep clear. And the impending collision, I got the wrong way, quite often ends up in the protest room. And if I'm sitting on this side of the table as a protest committee and you're giving me evidence about what just happened in that collision, it would be very bad evidence to give, I yelled starboard and then we hit. Rule 14 requires you to make a reasonable effort to avoid a collision. It would be a little bit better if you said, I yelled starboard and put the helm hard over. But by the time I realised that they were not complying with their obligations to keep clear, it was too late and we still hit. If you came in with that first testimony, you're going to be disqualified for Rule 14. If you come in with the second testimony, you've made a genuine effort to avoid a collision, then you can be defended from Rule 14. You also get a little bit of help because you've actually had a collision, you have broken Rule 14. It can still be a collision because you need not act until it's clear that the other boat's breaking a rule, and that can be quite late because you thought they were going to tack away or something, and they didn't. And if you do touch them, 14 allows you to be exonerated if you were the right-of-way boat and there's no damage or injury. So if you anticipated quite late and there was still contact, technically what happens is you've broken Rule 14, but you're exonerated for doing so because you were the right-of-way boat and you didn't break them or cause any injury. And so I guess that basically means that if you're coming up to a situation and the closing velocity is such or the prevailing conditions are such that if there was contact and there was going to be damage and injury, you might have to anticipate that maybe I should take some avoiding action a little bit quicker and avoid that collision rather than pushing my rights all the way through. So it's much best, or the best solution if you come to a port starboard is I yelled starboard, I tacked to avoid collision, and then I yelled protest because they made me tack when I had right of way. So you don't actually have to hit them to enforce your rights. And if you do it properly and you're a protest, put your red flag up and gather your evidence, you can win that protest. Although I know some people say you can't, but you can. And it's much better to have a good discussion in the protest room than to be picking up bits of broken fiberglass. So that's your main limitation everyone's under. Let's look a little bit at acquiring rights limitation, number 15. We looked at this one briefly again before, but we'll just zoom in a little bit more detail. Here, blue's doing their tack to try and give yellow a lot of grief. So once they've gone through head to wind, yellow has acquired rights because blue is now tacking. But rule 15 actually says unless they acquired because of the other boat's actions. So in this case, while yellow has just acquired the right of way through blue's actions, yellow doesn't have any obligations under rule 15. Once blue completes her tack, blue is now taken back right of way. She's now the starboard boat, and she did it through her own actions by tacking. And now she's obliged under rule 15. She shall initially give the other boat room. And this one here, she's not, yellow's in a world of pain. I don't think yellow can avoid a collision there, even with a crash tack. So, blue has just broken rule 15 now. Now, how long initial goes for? The way that is defined is the definition of room, seaman-like way. So it comes down to the type of boat you're on. If the boat's a square rigger, you might have to give it a little bit more time to change tacks than if it's Melody or an Opti or something like that. So a little bit subjective, but you got to deal with it. And yellow can't take advantage of this. Yellow can't sort of say, I'll put my beer down and I'll turn the stove off, and they've got to move promptly, so they can't dwell about it. As soon as the right's changed, yellow has to be on the case of changing course to avoid the collision. Blue's bad in this case. And just to drill that home, here we have the same situation with yellow's on the spinnaker now coming downwind, and we have the opposite tacks at the moment. Blue's keeping clear, blue's tacking now, so she's keeping clear. Then bang, blue's on starboard, yellow's on port. Yellow's also on starboard. So who's keep clear boat? Windward boat. Yellow has to keep clear. Quiet rights must initially give room in a seaman-like way, and if that boat was that, a seaman-like way could involve giving them a little bit of time to change course there. So that's just to show that you have to pay attention of who you're taking in front of. That's Kialoa on the way to win, I think, to win the record.
I've run looking exactly like that.
Oh, wow.
One more kite.
Right.
Another at the top.
Okay. Okay, the next obligation. Okay, we've got 40 minutes. We're going to get through this in under an hour. This will be great. Sorry if this is exhausting, but we'll slow down after the break. Changing course. Here we have two boats, port starboard. Yellow is on starboard, blue is on port. Blue must keep clear of yellow. Yellow is a right-of-way boat, is under an obligation about changing course. So if we go along here, yellow's popped up a little bit there to maybe hump blue a little bit to make sure blue doesn't get across them. Happens all the time. Is this allowable?
Yes.
Yeah, it's allowable. She'll give the other boat room to keep clear. Does blue have room to keep clear? Yeah, blue has plenty of room to keep clear. Blue can duck from there. Blue can do a seaman-like tack from there. Blue can, let a main out, slow down, let yellow across. So no problems there with yellow changing course because she's not preventing blue from keeping clear. So that's good. Here's another one. Blue is, has basically crossed yellow there. Can yellow left up now? No, because if yellow left up, bang, there's contact. So that's the situation, is that, yellow is right-of-way boat, can't change course, like she just did there, to prevent blue from crossing. So in that situation, you'll quite often get blue saying, as the port boat, hold your course, hold your course. And the distinction becomes, if yellow changes course, blue must be able to get out of that situation in a seaman-like way. If yellow changes course and blue can't do anything to avoid the collision, then yellow's broken rule 16. Okay, there's another little slight distinction here. Port starboard cross again. Yellow is the starboard boat, blue, keep clear, boat and port. She's given up already, she's not going to try and cross. She's diving down behind, going to take the stern of yellow. Can yellow change course now?
Depends how much.
She's entitled.
Can she do? Well, she's told to tap, yeah, she can change course so long as she doesn't prevent blue from keeping clear. So if yellow comes down like that, that's not allowed by, not only is it making blue change course. Now blue might be able to change course in a seaman-like manner. Blue might, in that case, blue could still bear away more. But there's a more specific rule. If a port tack boat is keeping clear by sailing to pass astern, the starboard boat shall not change course, as if a result the port tack would have to immediately need to change course to continue keeping clear. Bit of a mouthful, but what it means is, if in that situation, blue was going to pass astern. So blue's met her obligation. She's changed course, she's gone behind. Yellow can't come hunting down. It's called a dial down. Can't dial them down to make it change course even more so. Unless you're match racing. Match racing, they take out rule 16.2 and yellow can dial blue down all the way they like. So when you see the America's Cup and you see the two catamarans herring at each other at 45 knots and one dials the other one down, it gets really scary. But we don't do this. So
in a major shift, so a major lefty's come there, yellows have to dive down.
no, you don't have to dive down. That's a tactical decision that you're going to make to improve your boat speed. There's nothing in these rules that says you can't flog your sails a little bit.
If that's shifted head to wind, all of a sudden you're on one tack or the other, you've come away to maintain the tack you're on.
And the rule is based on the course. So 16, as a right-of-way boat, you may not change course. It doesn't say anything about to wind or anything. So basically, in that close pass there, once the boats are close and blue's going behind, yellow may not change course down to make blue have to change more. If the wind changes, you're just going to have to coast on with flapping sails. And that's and maybe it'll be tough, and maybe in reality, yellow will probably go down a little bit and make blue go a little bit further if there's a bit of a shift. But if they do it significantly enough, and if there's an umpire watching, she could be pinned by 16. So while in reality it probably happens that a shift will make yellow come down, technically they've broken the rule that blue's able to prove it, yellow will lose. So yellow's banned there. Okay, we'll do a worked example. I'll go a little slower now to get ready because we're almost done with these rules. We're going to leave our tack coming. So we again port starboard. And the idea of this example here is again to show how rules switch on and off and obligations come and go. Blue looks like they might get across yellow there. So, oops. At the moment, blue's port boat must keep clear, but they may be across. They're thinking they might get across. So, yellow hunts up. She changes course. Hots up a little bit. Yellow starboard. Perfectly legal. Blue has plenty of time, room to keep clear. She can tack, she can duck. Not a problem there. So blue works out, I'm not going to get across, I've got to do something. So 16, rule 16's been met by yellow, she's given plenty of room there. So blue starts luffing up into attack, she's not tacking yet, she's luffing up. So we still have the same rules here, port has to keep clear. But now what's happened, if I go back, once yellow sees blue going, she's gone back to her original course. So she's changing course. So, she's now got a little bit more of an obligation under 16. Because she luffed up initially to force blue into attack. She has to be careful about how far down she comes back to course. If she came down and caused a collision, she could be said to be changing course as a right-of-way boat. So she's got an obligation to give blue time to complete the attack. So yellows have to luff, blue's now going into attack, keeps going all the way through. So now blue's into the attack. Quite a light tack here. She is tacking, she has to keep clear. She's keeping clear just, Although she's going slow now and yellow's going quite quick. So now yellow has to luff up to avoid a collision. Well, that's probably fair enough, because once it happened, they were both on the same tack, or maybe blue was clear ahead, can't quite tell. Blue was the right-of-way boat. Yellow had to keep clear, it's either windward boat or clear astern boat. So she had to luff up to keep clear. Luffing up is a bit seaman-like, you can just do it all the time, it's not a problem. So blue acquired rights by her own actions by tack. There wasn't a collision, so she gave, and yellow didn't do anything drastic. No one fell overboard, didn't crash tack. If yellow wanted to milk it, she could do a crash tack and say, oh, he forced me into a crash tack. But in this situation, with a little luff, blue gave room. So there they go on their happy way. Blue's now on the lee bow of yellow. Yellow's in a world of pain and probably should have just let blue through in the first place. She's luffed twice. She's got a boat on a lee bow. What a stupid thing to call starboard. That's not in the rules, but that's just goes to show you that most times, quite often, when you call starboard another boat and make them tack, it's like, why? In order to do that, you've gone slow, and then you're going to stay slow and low, and it's not going to help you. Anyway, but that's the way the rules work. Okay, the blah 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 one. On the same tack, proper course. Another very verbose one here. So there's some key points in this. The same tack, proper course. Obviously boats have to be on the same tack, and it involves when an overlap is established from clear astern. So if the overlap is established by boats coming in, or someone tacking, or something else, this rule doesn't apply. In old time parlance, it's overtaking. In new ways of parlance, it's establishing an overlap from astern, which is basically what overtaking is. And it has to be within 2 of her hull lengths to leeward. So you're coming up with them quite close. If you're coming like this, that's not affecting this rule. So 17, there's only if you overtaking them quite close behind. So once you've established an overlap from astern to leeward, so you come in to leeward of them, they're the windward boat. You're now the right-of-way boat because they're the windward boat. You're constrained not to sail above your proper course. You can't suddenly start luffing them all the way up to nowhere. And your proper course is the course of the boat would sail to finish as soon as possible if there were no other boats around. So that can be different on different boats. If you've got asymmetric sails, or you think the tide's going to be flowing better over there or whatever. So its proper course is a little bit hard to define. But if you can justify, I was sailing this direction because I thought that was the fastest way to go, then you're good. You can't sail any higher than that. So let's see how that works. Here we have 3 boats. We have a yellow's under symmetric spinnaker. We have this very strange orange boat that has one great big mainsail, I don't know what that is. And we have this incredibly sexy blue boat over there under an asymmetric pipe. And there's no overlaps at the moment. Orange is clear astern of yellow, blue is clear astern of orange. And they come across here. Blue's a very fast boat, so it catches up quite quickly.
Probably go and see where it's going.
And now these 3 boats are overlapped. So did orange establish an overlap from clear astern? Yes. Within 2 hull lengths of the other boat? Yes. I think 17 now applies to orange on yellow. But blue's overlap was established from way off on the side, because that's where the assay takes us to go. And so she's more than 2 boat lengths, so 17 doesn't apply to her. So now what happens is, as they go along, get all very close together, and orange can't sail any higher than her proper course. Now here, she's got a little bit of head of yellow, and yellow's taking her wind. She's slowing down. She'd like to go a lot faster. Her fastest way to the finish is to luff up a little bit and hot up. But she can't do that because that's not her proper course. If yellow wasn't there, there wouldn't be a wind thing.
There we go, sorry. But by that stage there, blue was come in and swim would both keep clear.
Sorry? Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly. Yellow is would vote, but orange is constrained.
Blue is
Blue's not
in
relevant to
control.
the rule.
No, we're not talking about blue yet. We're just looking at orange and yellow here.
Oh, well, you know.
Just looking at
I'll give you 2 seconds before it's on.
Oh, exactly, yes. But just between orange and yellow here, yellow is the keep clear vote, but orange is constrained by Rule 17 not to sail above her proper course. So orange can't luff up, can't even hot up to try and get a bit faster. She has to sail the course that she can honestly hand on heart say, this is where I would go if there was no other boats to get to the fastest other end. Blue, on the other hand, has come steaming in from left field, is not under obligations of 17 because the overlap wasn't established within the 2 boatmates. So blue is perfectly entitled to be an absolute bastard and luff both boats up as much as she likes. And she can luff them up to a dead stop and then try and find some wind underneath that wind block that both boats were and get through. It probably won't happen, but she can try, and she's not constrained by proper course. So, and even if she was, her proper course is probably higher than those other 2 boats because she's flying an Assie. So let's say she was constrained, she could still call those boats up because her proper course is higher. So, proper course is an obligation in that very precise circumstance. So, we could talk about it a lot longer. It is something you see, but more often than not when you hear people saying proper course, it's not really a proper call. Blue in this case, if she was calling, sailing above the proper course and trying to luff orange and yellow, it's not going to do her any good anyway. There's no way through that wind hole. She should have joined away long ago.
Just clarify, blue doesn't establish an overlap because she's coming on an angle?
No, blue does establish an overlap, but she doesn't establish it from clearly, or she does this, so you've got to go through all the points. She was clear astern, yes. Becomes overlapped within 2 of her hull lengths to leeward. When she was over here, that's when the overlap was established. She was more than 2. So while she does have an overlap, she hasn't triggered Rule 17 because there's a distance clause in there. So Rule 17 is, if you're going to call proper course on another boat, you've got to go through all the little clauses of Rule 17 and make sure they're all ticked off. Okay. I won't go into multiple boats very much. The only thing I'll say on multiple boats here is that in any situation with multiple boats, you can take any pair of them and you can work out who's the keep clear boat and who's the right of way boat. And if you went through the slides here, you'd see that in this situation, there's every pair of boats that right of way can be established. And the only thing and as the tax changes, the only thing I want to say here is that if we look at orange and light blue, they are overlapped. If you looked at them without the purple boat, also there's no point me covering that up here. If purple wasn't there, orange and blue are not overlapped. But with the rules, if purple is there, they are overlapped by definition because definition of overlap says they are also overlapped when a boat between them overlaps both. So the only big change in multiple boats is that an overlap can be established between a whole chain of boats, and that can be, 20, 30 boats. So the boat over here is miles ahead of the boat without, there's enough boats in between, overlap can be established. But all the other pairs of boats, it's just the normal right-of-way rules apply. Okay, 5 minutes to summary to the break. We're going to go through TWAC again. The right-of-way summary, we have our 4 basic rules. Opposite tax, port keeps clear. Overlap to windward keeps clear. Clear astern keeps clear. Tacking keeps clear. What? That relates to the coal regs very similarly. If you looked at the coal regs, you've got rules 12, 13, 18. Opposite tax, between sailing vessels anyway, opposite tax, they have the same one. Port keeps clear. Same tack, windward keeps clear. However, they don't have this definition of clear astern. they have a definition of overtaking. Now, the overtaking boat keeps clear. Big difference. Overtaking is something which is not instantaneous like the racing rules. Overtaking happens while you approach, while you're next to them, and while you're getting away from them. It's a long, drawn-out thing. And so, if you're passing a boat that's not racing, then overtaking will take place. And importantly, that applies even if they're a motorboat. If you're a sailing boat and you're overtaking a slow motorboat, then you are the overtaking boat and you must keep clear of them. So you can't sail up to a slow boat and say, oh, the sailboat, get out of my way, because you're overtaking them. So the other one, you have to keep clear of a boat with restricted manoeuvrability, which is can actually flip around the while tacking thing. A boat, a square rigger that's halfway through a tack is going to have restricted manoeuvrability. So you may have to keep clear of them or give way to them. The other key difference in the coal regs, you have to take early and substantial action. So, in racing rules, you quite often duck a boat and take its stern by a couple of metres. In coal regs, if that boat's not racing, it's not good enough to change course at the last moment and duck below it. You're required to take early and substantial action to give way to them. So you can't apply racing tactics to a boat that's not racing. You just give them a lot of room, change course early, and stay away from them. And some other right-of-way rules, which we can go into, is Part D. If you're doing a late start or you're restarting, you have to keep clear. If you're taking a penalty, you have to keep clear. And finally, we've got to a new rule. If you're sailing backwards or sideways, I told you some of them were pretty things, with a sail backed, you must keep clear. So there's actually 3 other rules defined when you must keep clear so the other boat's got rights. So in addition to the 4, if you want to be pedantic, there's these other 3.
So the tide's
No, it's actually technically sailing backwards through the water. So it's not tide. So if it happens here in Olympics, things they back their sails, and just during start manoeuvres and match racing, they'll go backwards on purpose, or they'll edge sideways along a start line. And while they're doing that, they must keep clear. So it doesn't really apply to us, hopefully, too much. Although we have had one boat here start at twilight backwards. Okay, general limitations. The 4 general limitations: you must avoid contact. If you acquire rights, you must initially give room. If you're changing course, you shall give room while you're changing course. And you shall not sail above your proper course in very specific circumstances. They relate, that's the CAC answer. They relate to the coal regs, pretty much the same. Avoid contact, avoid collision. Acquiring rights, you should initially give room. Basically, you have to, under coal regs, you have to assess the collision risk of your actions. So you can't, do something if it's going to cause a high risk of a collision. The requirement for changing course is actually a little bit different in coal regs. Under the racing rules of sailing, you're a right-of-way boat. If you change course, you must give the other boat room. But under coal regs, if you're the right-of-way boat, you must maintain your course and speed. You can't go hunting them, going up and down. You can't take that little puff. You can't, use the slight change. If you're passing in close quarters to a non-racing boat, and you're the right-of-way boat, you must maintain your course and speed. You can't change course. You're required not to change your course. So that's quite a significant difference. And basically, again, it comes down to don't apply racing close past tactics to non-racing boats. Don't go up and down, taking the wind, so they don't know if you're going ahead of them or behind them or what to do. You have to hold your course so they can take early and substantial action to keep clear or to give way. Okay, and there's some other limitations as well. So the section D has other limitations. If a boat is capsized, anchored aground, or assisting another boat, you should avoid if possible. They don't define what that means, but I guess the common sense rules apply. When you're not racing, if reasonably possible, do not interfere with. Again, they don't define what interfere with, but I guess it means keep clear, or give room, or both. If you're on another leg taking a penalty, again, a new rule here, or restarting. Unless you're sailing your proper course, don't interfere with. Also, this is the other place proper course comes into it. So if you're on a different leg of the race course, you're taking a penalty, or you're going back to restart, I guess proper course only really applies on the other leg. If you're restarting, you haven't started, you don't have a proper course. If you're taking a penalty, you don't have a proper course. So if you're sailing your proper course, you're okay, but if you're not sailing your proper course, don't interfere with another boat. So if i.e. don't go chasing another boat